All right, so at this point, we're pretty much done with our blocking out in primary form, and we are now where we can actually start moving into doing secondary form and doing our detailing. But before we can go too much further in that, we need to take a step back and realize that we've been modeling inside of a bubble and just kind of assuming that everything is correct up to this point, which it's not. I can tell you I purposely have some issues in this model if you followed this tutorial, so we can actually go through this step. And that step is talking about how we clean up any kind of problem geometry. Now, this is not going to be an extensive coverage of this subject. We actually have some great videos that go through a lot more in depth on the assignments page. So definitely check out the 3DF cleanup tool playlist. But with that said, let's kind of go through the thought process that we want to have when we are doing cleanup. So to find problem geometry, we actually use the cleanup tool, which is underneath the mesh menu. So if we go right here to mesh, we can go to cleanup and then we can hit the option box. Now with every time that we do the option box, we definitely want to make sure that we reset our tool. So reset. And let's kind of go through a couple of these options. So first one is our operation, which is what we tell the cleanup tool what we want to happen. We can either have the cleanup tool fix the problems for us or just select the problems to let us know where it's at. Now, it seems obvious that, hey, we should just have it clean up, but here's the thing. Maya's not good at cleanup. It doesn't care about our art or edge flow, all our hard work. It's just trying to solve the problem quickly. And usually when you try to solve a problem quickly, you end up solving it wrong. So instead of having Maya clean up, we definitely want to make sure that we are saying this to select matching geometry. Next is scope. Scope is how much of our issues do we want to see at once? Do we want to see all our issues on all our objects all together, or do we want to do it one by one? So I usually do this apply to selected objects, but for my first time through, I'm going to do all objects so I can kind of get a big picture. What issues are we looking for? And the issues that we're going to be looking for is faces with more than four sides, which is an end gun, faces with holes, lambda faces, and non-manifold geometry. Those are our tool breakers. Those are like our bad news. So from there, we can hit cleanup. Actually, we're done. Hit apply. And apply, we'll kind of keep the tool up so we can kind of keep on using it. And we can kind of see that we have issues on the arms and also on our hips. So I'm going to go ahead and just select these. And I'm going to hit Control 1 so I can isolate that selection. From there, what I want to do is limit my view. Put on the blinder so that way I can kind of focus on one piece at a time. So we're going to go to our scope and hit apply to selected object and then hit that again. All right, once we do that, now we have an idea what's going on, but we don't know what the issue is. So from there, we have to narrow down what the issue is out of these. So the best way to do that is to go right here, turn everything off except for one. So now when we hit apply, now we know that that is a end gun. So we already have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 faces. So to fix this, usually we need to just quad this up and make all these four-sided faces. So I'm just going to draw from right there to right there, right there to right there. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then repeat that same process on the other side. So skipping every other edge and then just drawing that down. And then we'll hit apply again with that selected, and now nothing's selected. So now we know all the n-gons are fixed. So we'll just repeat that same process on the faces with holes, hit apply. That looks fine. Lambda faces, hit apply. And then non-manifold geometry, hit apply. And we do get that green dot, but we're not going to worry about that because that has something to do with UVs, and that usually fixes itself. All right, so now that this is the same exact object, we can also do the same thing. All right, oh, wrong thing. So one right there, one right there, one right there, and one right there. All right, so that is looking good. So we'll hit apply, and all that is looking fine. So, all right. And then lastly, we get this big guy. So we're just going to, again, go through one by one. So That is one huge end gun. So usually how we fix this, if the topology is the same on both sides, usually the best way to kind of fix that is to actually just draw from the same edge to the other and just repeat that process. All right, so that looks like that should be good. So we'll hit apply and we have no end guns. And now we can kind of go right here, kind of hit up the rest of the greatest hits, hit apply, nothing there. And then again, we get these green dots, which means non-manifold geometry with our UVs, which is not that big of a deal because that usually fixes itself in the next stages to come. But with that said, that is a general overview of how we want to go about doing our cleanup and how we want to approach it. Again, make sure that you go watch the 3DF cleanup playlist. That goes a lot more in depth and shows a lot more techniques. But I want to make sure that this is on your radar. So this is definitely something that you want to make sure that you do before going to secondary detail, because problem geometry snowballs and it can get compounded over and over again. So you want to make sure that you're kind of catching these issues early so it's not making your model defected, especially once you worked so hard on it.